Across centuries, churches have stood as places of sanctity, peace, and worship. But beneath the surface, there have been tales that suggest some holy grounds harbor dark, sinister forces. These are not just whispers of local legends, but chilling accounts from witnesses who have seen unspeakable horrors within the walls of churches said to be haunted by demons and restless spirits. Here are the stories of the most haunted churches where evil has taken root. 1. The Shadow of St. Mary's, England. St. Mary's Church in Clophill, England, is one of the most infamous haunted churches in the world. Built in the 14th century, the church became a target for sinister activities in the 1960s. Legend has it that during this time, the church was desecrated by Satanists who performed dark rituals on the sacred grounds. Graves were disturbed, bones were removed, and the altar was used for sacrifices. Visitors to the church have reported seeing shadowy figures darting between gravestones at night, their forms distorted and unnatural. The air is said to become thick and oppressive, with the temperature dropping suddenly. Most disturbingly, a presence described as the Dark Monk is often seen. 2. The Gates of Hell, Borley Rectory. Borley Rectory, often called the most haunted house in England, was a Victorian mansion that stood beside Borley Church. While the house is no longer standing, the church remains, and so do the spirits. Built on the site of an ancient monastery, Borley Church has been the site of terrifying paranormal phenomena for over a century. The most infamous ghost tied to Borley Church is that of a nun, said to have been bricked up alive in the walls for breaking her vow of chastity. Witnesses have seen her apparition gliding through the churchyard, her face twisted in torment. In addition, demonic activity has been reported within the church itself. Strange growls echo through the halls at night, and visitors have described feeling an overwhelming sense of dread when approaching the altar. The nearby rectory was destroyed by fire in the 1930s, but the hauntings at Borley Church continue to this day, with some believing the grounds are cursed by ancient dark forces. 3. The Possession of St. Nicholas Church, Romania. In the shadowy Carpathian Mountains, St. Nicholas Church has been the epicenter of paranormal activity for generations. Constructed in the 15th century, the church became a place of fear when locals began to report bizarre sightings and unexplained phenomena. The most terrifying account is that of the possession. In the early 1900s, a priest who served at St. Nicholas Church reportedly became possessed after conducting an exorcism on a young girl. The priest began speaking in tongues, his voice changing into something not human. He would often fall into trances, his eyes rolling back into his head as he muttered incoherent prayers. The villagers became terrified of him, believing the exorcism had failed and that the demon had transferred itself to the priest. One evening during Mass, the priest began convulsing violently before collapsing at the altar. He was found dead, with his hands outstretched toward the crucifix, his face frozen in a mask of terror. After his death, strange occurrences escalated. Churchgoers reported seeing his ghost in the bell tower, watching with hollow eyes. To this day, locals avoid the church at Niche. 4. The Screaming Church, Olesen, Denmark. In the small Danish village of Olesen lies a small, unassuming church that has become known as the Screaming Church. Built in the 13th century, this quaint stone structure was once a peaceful place of worship. However, in the early 1800s, it became the site of unimaginable horror. During a brutal winter, a band of soldiers sought refuge in the church, only to perish from the cold and hunger. In their desperation, it is said they turned on one another, committing acts of cannibalism before succumbing to madness. Ever since, locals have reported hearing horrific screams coming from the church at night, especially during the winter months. The sounds of banging and violent crashes echo through the walls, though the church is empty. Visitors have described feeling an intense coldness inside, no matter the time of year. Ghostly figures, their mouths wide in silent screams, are often seen wandering the grounds, forever trapped in their torment. Some believe the spirits of the soldiers were consumed by darker forces, demons drawn to the violence that took place within. We5, the demonic church of St. George, Czech Republic. In the small rural village of Lukova, the Church of St. George has stood for over 600 years. But in the 1960s, a tragic event marked the beginning of its dark reputation. During a funeral service, the ceiling of the church collapsed, killing several mourners. The locals, fearing the church was cursed, abandoned it, leaving it to rot. In the years that followed, strange things began to happen. Visitors who dared enter the church at night reported feeling as though they were being watched by something unseen. Shadows moved on their own, and eerie whispers could be heard in the silence. The local legend is that demons took over the abandoned church, feeding on the fear of those who trespass. To add to the terror, in 2012, an artist installed eerie, ghost-like figures sitting in the pews of the church, shrouded in white. While these figures were meant as an art installation, they only heightened the church's haunted reputation. Visitors have claimed that these statues seem to move slightly when no one is looking, and the air around them is unnaturally cold. Some have even reported seeing dark figures standing behind the statues. Say. 6. The Curse of Our Lady of Pilar, Spain. Our Lady of Pilar. Church in Zaragoza, Spain, is a place of both reverence and terror. Though it is one of the most beautiful and revered churches in Spain, it also hides a dark secret. During the Spanish Civil War, it was said that several high-ranking officers who had committed unspeakable atrocities came to the church for absolution. However, instead of finding forgiveness, they were cursed. It is said that these men made a pact with demons to escape the consequences of their actions. In return, their souls would be claimed after death. Soon after, those same officers began dying in horrific ways. One man was found in his bed, his face twisted in agony, as though something had clawed at him from within. Another was said to have been driven mad, claiming he saw the devil himself in the church's altar. The haunting of Our Lady of Pilar is marked by an overwhelming sense of unease. Some visitors have reported seeing shadowy figures standing near the altar, while others have felt unseen hands brushing against their skin. Paranormal investigators have recorded disembodied voices and the sound of footsteps echoing through the empty halls late at night. Locals believe the church is a battleground between good and evil forces, with demons constantly lurking in its shadows. These churches, once meant to be sanctuaries from the darkness, have instead become homes for the very evil they sought to keep at bay. Each tale serves as a chilling reminder that even the holiest of places can fall victim to demonic influence, leaving behind only fear, terror, and the unshakable feeling that some things are better left undisturbed.